Yes, good day, my agric students. You are welcome to class once again. Yes, I am Dr. Abayomi Samuel Bankole of the Faculty of Agricultural Sciences, the Department of Animal Science and Fisheries, National Open University. Now, last week we were able to kick off with the very first topic of this e-facilitation. Of course, you know the topic. Some of you can remind me. But let me tell you, the basic terms used in animal health and diseases. That was what we dealt with last week. This week, we'll be taking the second in this series of topics for the e-facilitation. And the topic of today is the factors affecting the health status of our animals. Now, it's going to be an exciting time. I welcome you once again. Let's go to class. Let us go to class. Yes, you are welcome to class. Here we are in class. As I told you earlier about the topic factors affecting the health status of our animals. That's what we are dealing with today. I remain Dr. Abayomi Samuel Bankole. Now, you look here, look at this beautiful looking animals. Those are the animals we want to look at, those factors that affect their health. You can always reach me by email at asbankole@noun.edu.ng. By way of introduction, you will recall that we discussed on terms used in animal health and disease in our topic one. And there was a particular term we defined. That term is called disease. Disease, yes, disease. Some of you can even tell me what we said disease was in that last topic. But then, let me tell you, disease is any deviation from the normal physiological state of an animal. Now, this is very important. This particular term, disease, is very important in today's topic. Now, we want to look at the factors that may predispose to or prevent disease conditions in animals. What are these factors that normally affect or can affect our animals, and how do they affect this animal? What ways can we prevent these factors from negatively affecting our animals? These are questions we intend to provide answers to as we progress in today's class. We have two major intended learning outcomes. At the end of today's topic, you are expected to, one, identify factors that commonly influence the health status of our animals. And two, we want to discover effective control measures to minimize the negative effect of these factors on the animals. Yes, if you look at uh, what you have here, you see beautiful animals, wonderful looking animals. All these ones look healthy, they are looking fine. Now, our major focus today is how do we manage the health of these beautiful looking animals so they don't come down with disease conditions or the factors in the environment or by way of management will not affect them. This is our real focus today. Now, factors influencing health status of animals. Let us first look at what are these predisposing factors. Predisposing factors. These are factors or conditions which enable an
infection to be established, or that support the development and or multiplication of disease causing microorganisms or parasites. Now, these factors that influence the health status of our animals are quite many. Now, while some are easily controlled, some are not that easily controlled. We have two major classifications of these influencing factors. Number one, or A, environmental factors, and B, management factors. Now, these two factors, they vary in their degree of importance with respect to different livestock diseases. Let's start with environmental factors. Environmental factors, they are physical in nature. When you talk of environmental or physical factors, that's why sometimes we say environmental are physical factors. So because they are physical in nature. Now, they influence the health status of animals to a varying degree, and they are not really easily controlled on the field. However, in sophisticated animal facility, and of course, depending on the kind of species of livestock, they can actually be controlled to a large extent. Let us start with number one element under environmental factor, and that is temperature. What did I say? Temperature. Okay, good, good. You are following me. Now, animals have the ability to withstand several temperatures, and these will significantly affect productivity if the exposure is for a long time. You know, when there's high temperature, it normally affects warm-blooded animals because warm-blooded animals are expected to maintain a constant temperature within their body. And so, if you have high temperature, that will increase, in most of the cases, the temperature of the body, and that will predispose the animal to certain conditions, unhealthy condition, disease condition we call it. Now, because uh, temperature usually exerts some level of stress on the body, it predisposes the animal to disease. So, we have to do all that we need to do to minimize anything that can cause stress on our animal. Number two environmental factor is humidity. What did I say? Oh, humidity. Yes, you are following. Now, high humidity will promote the growth of certain microorganisms like fungus, whereas too low humidity will result in irritation of the mucous membrane. Actually, humidity is very important in poultry since they do not have sweat glands and heat is lost only through the respiratory tract. So we want to be very careful the level of humidity you want to maintain in a poultry farm. Number three, environmental factor is solar radiation that we are considering today. Solar radiation. This plays a role in increasing the heat load on animals. Now, this is quite significantly important in hot humid zones, especially in Nigeria, with exotic animal importation and the use of exotic semen from the temperate regions to upgrade our indigenous livestock breed. Now, solar radiation can be a problem in animals without pigmentation. Note that, very important. However, radiation effect can actually be minimized by providing shaded pens. So it's important you have a shade where animals are kept. and not just left open on the field where sun hits them from morning till night. All right. Yes, let's go to number 4. Number 4 here is ventilation. Ventilation, yes. Ventilation can help in heat loss through the process of evaporation, convection, or conduction. Now, ventilation assists in the supply of fresh air and toxic air removal from the animal environment. Let's look at number 5. Number 5 environmental factor is rain. Rain, yes. Heavy rain can result in excessive cooling for animals and or marshy conditions where animals are kept. Now, this can predispose animals to conditions such as foot rot in the ruminants, shelter provision, and good flooring with good drainage is the method to guide against this problem. Now, another one, environmental factor is climate or season. That's number 6 here. Climate or season of the year can influence to a great extent the health status of our animals by having bearing on infectious agents or parasites that predominate at any particular time. For instance, helminth infection are common during the rainy season due to the effect of temperature and moisture, which largely determine the ability of these parasites to survive outside its host. If you look at this diagram, it is like a summary of some of the environmental factors that can affect our livestock. Right here, you see ventilation. We just spoke about ventilation. You also see here heat stress, and you can see even cold stress and all of that. Now, when all of this exerts some pressure on our animals, you can see two of them right there. What do we have? You see this arrow going down here. We have reduced milk yield. You also have reduced reproduction and fertility. That is what heat stress can cause, and of course, some of these factors. Now, you also have this arrow going up, this red arrow going up right there. That is, you will also have the effect of increase, that's what the arrow means, increase disease and infection risk, as well as healthcare treatment. You have to pay more to be treating those disease conditions. And the final arrow you are seeing down here, just down there, you see reduced growth rate and feed efficiency. Now, all of this is what you will have to battle with if you do not find a way of controlling this environmental factor. Now, let's go to the second. But before we go to the second point, here is class activity 1. Yes, you have it right there. Please, it's important. Take very good note of this and ensure you do this class activity. Now, I told you there are 2 classifications of our factors that influence our animals. They influence the health of our animals actually. And we have dealt with environmental factors just now. Now we are on to the second part, which is the second classification, management factors. What are these management factors? We'll list around 5 of them and we are done for the day. Yes, we start with number 1, hygiene. Oh yes, hygiene, very important. Good hygiene practices are a good means of reducing disease risk within a herd or flock. Now, simple procedures such as cleaning of where the animals are kept and changing the bedding or flooring can actually help in reducing the degree of parasite contamination in that area and of course on the animal. Cleaning removes feces and thus disturb the normal environment favorable to disease-causing agents such as the gastrointestinal parasite by preventing them from completing their life cycle. Yes. It is important, also very important, that feed and water sources are not contaminated. If you look at this picture right on your the right of your screen, you will see this big dung right in front here. I know you can see that. And if you see, you look at some small ones around. I mean, dunks all over the place. And now, what does this tell us? This is not an hygienic pasture for these animals to graze. They will, if many of these dunks are found around here, and this animal has to they have to graze. They will be grazing the dung. They pass from their anus and they will be grazing it along while they are, feeding, grazing. That is poor hygiene. You don't want to have this. So you know what to do. You have to scrape off at various intervals, at different intervals, these dungs from the pasture to reduce the level of contamination. Number two management factor is nutrition. Nutrition, adequate feeding of all classes of livestock is critically important so as to increase disease resistance and also to achieve maximum production. Poor nutrition leads to poor health of animals. I mean, that goes without saying. Now, because of the poor feed resource base for livestock in Nigeria, occasioned by the seasonal feed shortage, grazing livestock in Nigeria experience exacerbated condition when exposed to infectious agents. Now, looking at your right on the slide, yeah, you will find this diagram illustrating poor nutrition and what it can cause. Right here, you will see increased susceptibility. That is what poor nutrition will bring to the animal. There will be increased susceptibility to disease and parasitism. There will be poor feed conversion. And of course, there will also be poor reproductive performance. And this, all of that, will lead to poor livestock productivity in general. And this also will lead to decreased farmer income. You'll be losing a great deal if your animals are poorly fed. And nationwide or even internationally, there will be the challenge of food security and development. And this is what just one single management factor can cause. You can imagine, see how the thing dropped down to the level of affecting the whole world and even the whole nation. Poor nutrition. We have to be aware of that. Now, it is therefore necessary for you to provide supplemental feeding to livestock, especially during the dry season. Now, for poultry farmers, another class of livestock, high cost of feed ingredient can actually be a challenge, and this may lead to the compounding of feeds low in nutrients. This is quite common in poultry industry. Let's go to number three management factor, and that is type of housing. What did I say? Yes, type of housing. Yes, you are echoing it with me. Different categories of people use different housing types, and these different methods they use depend on the resource available and the level of education they have. The particular housing system and method of animal raising can actually influence the rate and severity of infections, especially parasitic infection. For ruminants, animals that are housed where pasture growth is suppressed or flooring is intact, or feeding and pot and watering troughs are kept above the floor, will be at low risk of contracting diseases of gastrointestinal parasitism. Now, the absence of pasture makes the environment not conducive for parasitic multiplication. What are we saying here? When you leave animals to graze freely all the time, there is a risk of of them contacting parasites on the field, especially during the wet season. So you want to ensure you have good housing and you provide intensive care is very important these days. So you want to provide good hygienic uh, feed for your animal in good housing condition. Now, for animals on pasture, the level of pasture contamination, I said this earlier on, depends on factors like concentration of the animals, the duration spent by the animals on the pasture, the climate, the weather condition, I mentioned rain the other time, among other things. Now, it is important, therefore, that choices of housing and the raising, livestock raising method be such that it reduces infection risk or enhances animal health status. Number four management factor we want to look at today is ecology or pest and wildlife. Now, most parasites that transmit diseases, they utilize intermediate hosts. We mentioned that earlier on, and this they use to complete their life cycle. Now, this intermediate host can either be wildlife or some pest. It's therefore essential not to unnecessarily expose our livestock animals to pests and wildlife. Now, this is a major problem with ruminants that are owned by the nomads, as close contact with these animals and wildlife leads to constant exchange of parasites. The number five management factor and the last for today is introduction of new animals or the number of animals kept together as the large number, whatever kept together. Now, there always exists this risk of introducing new parasites into a herd or flock when adding new animals to the herd. This can be a problem where replacement animals are bought from the open market or neighboring farm. Now, you want to ensure that any new animal to be added to an existing stock should be first quarantined. Very important. Quarantine that animal that is coming from outside or from another farm or just bought it from an open market. Quarantine that animal. And if there are symptoms of disease or some routine things you have to do, you want to undo that first at quarantine level before you add that particular animal to the herd. Now, the ease and risk of disease transmission increase with increase in number of animals. That's important. When animals are kept in large number together, that risk of disease transmission is high in that particular situation. Now, this is due to frequent contact between these animals and which can consequently ease disease transmission. I know there's that easy transmission of disease, like we have said earlier. Now, high number of animals usually results in increase in fecal accumulation, that's physics, within confined areas, and this usually encourage endoparasitism. Now, in poultry, the general advice is to always clean and disinfect houses before that's poultry houses, before bringing new beds or allowing that house or pen to be empty for some time before introducing new sets of beds. Yes, looking at this picture uh, here, there are two of them actually, two pictures. You see this one on the left hand of the slide, you see it's a well managed cow. Oh, looking beautiful, standing up, erect ear. I mean, look at the skin. It's very smooth and clean. But it's lovely. You want to have something like this. But going over to the right side of the slide, you see this one. They have the same color, really, but this animal is not well managed, it's poorly managed. You can see the ribs out. The animal will not even stand up, looking dull. See the head so narrow as compared to this other one that has a broad head. See the skin is rough. And this one is an unthrifty. It's not looking fine at all. So this is to tell you or to show to you the difference you can get when you manage your animal well and when you poorly manage your animal. Now, the choice is yours right now. Yes, we have class activity 2 right here. You can read it. Yes, I can hear that student trying to read this one out. That is good. So you are, like I said earlier, please ensure you attend to these class activities. They are very important. What have we done today? In summary, we have successfully examined the factors that influence or impact on the health of our animals. We have equally seen that these factors are quite capable of exerting a significant influence on the productivity and profitability of our livestock animal in general by contributing to the occurrence of diseases. And finally, we have stated or emphasized the importance of controlling these factors to minimize stress and ensure that animals remain healthy for maximum productivity. Yes, please, at this point, as we are rounding up, I just want to let you know that it's important to attend the class. The Zoom class will be coming on Saturday. Yes, please ensure you attend. It will be every Saturday by 11 a.m. for the next 7 or 6 more weeks. So please ensure you attend. Thank you.